Bad evening. I'm Mr. Creepy, your host. Say, did you hear the one about the gal named Jennifer who was buried alive? Word around the cemetery is, it was a grave mistake.
I found myself in complete darkness, pushing and clawing away at what felt like wooden planks in front of me. All around me, it was the same. I was lying down in a confined space. I was quickly filled with terror when I finally realized what was going on. I was in some kind of makeshift coffin. I had been buried alive. The group of settlers I was with must have mistakenly thought I finally succumbed to my illness. How could they not have done a better job of making sure I was actually dead? But none of that mattered right now. It was only a matter of time till my air ran out. I had to get out. I made as much noise as I could. I started yelling and screaming.
Somebody help me! Somebody help! Help!
I pounded against the walls of wooden planks as hard as I could. I even attempted to tear away at the wood, hoping to make a hole. But it was all futile. I could feel the weight of the dirt on top of the cabin as I pressed against the planks. All I could do was pray and hope somebody would hear my cries for help, even though I knew deep down inside that the chances of that happening were slim. But just as I began to lose hope, all of a sudden I heard something. I stopped everything I was doing and started to carefully listen. It sounded like digging. My God, I thought to myself. Somebody heard me. I was saved. I emphatically began yelling and banging against the coffin again. I had to make sure they knew they weren't hearing things, and it seemed to be working.
Help! 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 Let me out! Let me out!
The sound of digging only got louder and louder. But in the midst of all the commotion and relief, I started to notice something strange. Upon listening closely again, I realized something that would terrify me even more so than my already grave circumstance. The sound of digging wasn't coming from above. It was coming from below. Suddenly, I could feel something banging and scratching away from underneath the coffin. Shortly after, the banging and scratching was all around. I once again screamed for help, but it was too late. Whatever those things were outside my coffin eventually broke through. I screamed as they started to claw away at me as they reached into the coffin. All I could do was scream. They shrieked as they tore my flesh apart. I screamed as they started to claw away at me as they reached into the coffin. I tried my best to fight them off, but it was no use. All I could do was scream. They shrieked as they tore my flesh apart. If there was one saving grace about the situation, it's that, at least, because of being completely in the dark, I couldn't see how horrific these creatures must have looked as they ate me alive.
Mr. Creepy here. Friends, we don't care what you thought of tonight's horror story. If you don't stab the like button and slash the subscribe bell, this will happen to you. No! No! No, not my leg! No!